Hey folks, and welcome to Truck King. I think of all of the vehicle redesigns in the last, say, decade, this has to be one of the most radical that we have seen. This is the 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe, and it doesn't look anything like the old Santa Fe. It's really embracing that adventurous style, and that's exactly what we're going to put to the test. So in this video, we're going to put it on the rollers to test the all-wheel drive system. We're out here on some dirt trails, so you know we're going to do some off-roading, and then I'll have to climb into that third row and see how big it is, so make sure you stay tuned. This Hyundai Santa Fe you see in the video is the XRT model, which means it's a little bit more ready for off-roading and for towing, and we'll get into that stuff soon. But let's start with the powertrain. So under the hood is a 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, making 277 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque, sent through an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. So like I said, this is the XRT, so you're also getting some unique styling, a bit of a different grille up front, and then some of the accents, the black accents on the mirrors and stuff, just to make it look a little bit different. Now, like usual, one of the most influential upgrades you can make on any off-road model, the tires, and we do have a decent set of tires here. That is a set of Continental Terrain Contact all-terrains, so when we get out here in the sand, we will be able to feel them. Now, because those tires are a little bit bigger than what you're going to get on a stock model, ground clearance here is listed at 8.3 inches. So not a massive number, but that is taller than a stock Santa Fe. So if you want the best clearance, the XRT model is the one to get. Now when it comes to towing, XRT also out-tows the rest of the Santa Fe's. Here you can get 4,500 pounds out of this model, which is decent. So as we roll back, I'll show you another kind of neat feature. Hyundai, again, is really going for that whole adventure idea with the new Santa Fe. So they've added in this. It's a little handle. The idea is you grab it there, you step on the tire, and then I get great access up here to my roof rack to take off my kayak or canoe or whatever else you've stuck up there. Yeah, it's kind of a little thing, but I also think it's sort of neat. It is a nod to the adventurous lifestyle they think you're going to live. And then one other little note on this, if you don't want to use it, there's actually a lock on the inside of the door pillar, so you can lock it so it doesn't open up like that. Because I do also worry if you left it open, you might get some snow and ice in there in the wintertime, so you can lock it if you don't want it. Now finally, as we get around to the back here, I will open the hatch, because that is one thing this boxy style really lends itself to, is this really large hatch opening back here. And that's something Hyundai talked about a lot. With this redesign, this hatch opening is quite a bit bigger than the previous Santa Fe. So it's not like there's a ton more storage, but just having a larger opening means you can fit more back here, which is nice. Now while we're here, we can take a look. Underneath the floor, that's your spare tire repair kit, which also means we don't get a proper spare tire here, which, you know, is a little bit unfortunate. And then you do have some storage over here. Another nice feature, you're getting a plug right here. It's only 150 watts, so just a tiny bit of power at the back, but still nice to have some power. And then a little more storage over here, plus a 12-volt plug there. So yes, you are getting a bit of power at the back of your Santa Fe as well, which can be helpful for camping, being on the trail, or being out in the world. Now let's take a look at the inside and see how big it is in there. All right, let's take a look at the second and third row. First of all, I like to talk about the baby seat situation. So here in the second row, you have 2 lower latch positions and 3 top tethers. In the third row, there's only 2 seats back there, but both of them get lower latch and top tethers. So I do appreciate the flexibility here for car seats. And at this point, I should mention that third row is standard on the Santa Fe for 2024. So yes, every single one you get is gonna have the third row back there. So, second row here is listed at just over 42 inches of legroom. And it's a ton. And then the other thing I noticed right away, and this is just, you know, it's part of being a boxy vehicle, really good headroom. I have a ton of clearance for my headroom. I stand at 6'2", just over 300 pounds, and I fit back here no problem. And then I'll show you too, many inches of adjustability here too. So the third row is kind of small, but if this passenger was to pull up this far, well, then you get quite a bit more back there. Now, talking about amenities here in the second row, I do have a sunshade. I have molded cup holders over here in the door, which is nice. A big storage bin down here between the two passengers, which is kind of cool. And then another trick, the bin here actually is hinged forward and backwards, so you can open it from the back, and then I could reach up and grab something out of there. So yeah, a whole bunch of storage, plus USB-C ports, which are molded into the seats right here. So a lot of good storage for the second row passengers stuff. Now let's see how the third is. So you press the button here on the shoulder, those tumble and push forward, and here I go. So on paper, this is 30 inches of legroom, even. And it's actually not terrible in terms of my knee room to the seat in front of me. The biggest issue is just how much taller the floor is back here. So my knees feel like they're up in my chest. It's not really a comfortable position, but once again, for a third row, incredible headroom. You rarely get such good headroom out of a third row, and that's just, you know, inherent in a boxy vehicle. It doesn't have that swoopy design, so headroom's not a problem. So as third rows go, this one is kind of tight, but in this segment, a lot of these vehicles don't even have third row. So with that in mind, this is actually not too bad. You know, maybe larger than full-size adults might want to sit back here, but a full-size adults, and then especially teenagers and kids, yeah, no problem whatsoever in the third row of the Santa Fe. All right, folks, now here we are driving in this new Santa Fe. And we didn't do any crazy off-roading today, but we did get into some situations that I think an owner of this vehicle would expect to get into, right? We were on some loose, kind of sandy trails. We got a ton of rain yesterday, so everything is waterlogged, a bunch of big puddles. And then there's a road locally to me that it gets washed out sometimes in the rain and in the springtime. So we went over there, and yeah, you know, we were able to run it through some of that, the big water on the gravel. So I guess, Dad, I'll just turn to you right away. We can talk about off-roading. What did you feel in there? And I think more importantly, did you feel the lift? Because it is lifted a little more than a normal Santa Fe. And do you think you felt the tires, the all-terrain, sort of making a difference?
No. Straight up. You know what? Whatever you see in the video today, that's as much as this vehicle is capable of doing. If you want to do more than that, you are going to do damage.
Fair.
So I want to rewind to the fact that, you know, we're living right now in an age where every manufacturer is building off-road vehicles. But simply the term off-road is so misused by all manufacturers, and it means all different things to all different parties who put these things together. Because if we just look at the real words, off-road, if you're on anything, even a goat path, that is still some sort of a road, okay? Sure. Off-road is you're in a plowed field, all right? And we're not doing that with this, and frankly, we're not doing that with pretty much any vehicle that's an off-road vehicle, save, you know, a Bronco or a Jeep.
Sure.
So what is the whole point of off-road? Off-road is a marketing technique. You've got basically a large vehicle here to carry a lot of people and your gear, and it will tow a decent amount of weight, but you're not going off-road.
Right. I think we've kind of coined the term on the channel, rough roader. This is definitely a rough roader, not what you'd consider to be a proper off-roader. But yeah, you know, you can't argue with the fact that in the lineup, if you want the most capable Santa Fe, the XRT is the one to get. So we did some of the real world stuff, but you know what? We also stuck it on the rollers. So let's cut to that now, and we can see how the all-wheel drive deals with slipping on the rollers. Now, folks, it's time for the roller test. So we've put rollers under 3 out of 4 wheels. This is the toughest traction situation that an all-wheel drive system can deal with. It has to manage to get all of its power to that rear driver side wheel because the other 3 all have rollers underneath them. Now, Hyundai's all-wheel drive system here is called H-Track, and they say right in the literature that H-Track will send power to the rear wheels when necessary, and then using subtle braking can then send the power side to side. Now this will take a little bit more than subtle braking, so we will see if the Hyundai can manage to get power back to that rear wheel and get us off the rollers. Now I like to start just in regular mode because I have terrain modes here, but we're going to start in normal and see if the traction control can do it in normal mode. If it can't, then we'll try the terrain modes. And yeah, let's go, see what happens. So we're in drive, normal mode. Here we go. Nicely done, Hyundai. So what I felt there is it started to slip. It right away braked. It wouldn't allow the tires just to slip and slip and slip. Traction control was going, this is not right, this is not right. Obviously quickly sent the power back, and then what it was doing was braking that rear passenger side tire to get the power over to the driver's side. That result is essentially exactly what you want because it proves that this all-wheel drive system can move the power around to where you want it. So yeah, as roller tests go, that was a good one. And now we're back here cruising on a highway. So yeah, let's shift gears a little bit away from sort of the adventure off-road stuff. Just as a highway cruiser, what do you feel and what do you think about the power plant?
That's where I think this thing shines, all right? You know, Hyundai, rather than just sort of putting lipstick on a pig when they did the redesign, really went to town. They've changed pretty much everything here. And this vehicle is nice on road. The NVH is decent. I mean, it's quiet.
It is.
You've got a ton of room. This boxy shape lends itself to that. You have a couple of kids and a dog and a bunch of junk and grandma. This is a good vehicle for you.
For sure. And you know what, you touched on the design, but we don't talk about it a lot in our videos. This one, you can't ignore it. You're buying something here that's truly different, right? Outside of, you know, a Defender, essentially, there's nothing else on the market that really looks like this. And in this category, there's nothing that looks like this. So the Santa Fe, Hyundai's really made an effort to now say, if you're choosing the Santa Fe, you're getting something different. Some people might not like that. A lot of people will, because this is the kind of vehicle where you take it to the grocery store and people actually come up and ask you about it, especially because they don't know what it is yet. It doesn't look like any other Santa Fe. So the whole idea of the adventure vehicle, a lot of brands just slap tires and plastic cladding on. Hyundai kind of went, you know what? We're doing an adventure vehicle. We're doing the whole thing. It's going to look like it's ready for adventure. So the design change that came to this Santa Fe, I think is going to be the biggest selling point, or on the flip side, it might be the biggest reason why you don't buy it, right?
But you know what? It gets people talking.
Yep.
And ultimately, you know, what you want is you want to be noticed, even if it's because you don't like it. So they spend a lot of money, and Hyundai does that. Hyundai goes out of their way. They're willing to spend their dollars to try to be different, to be the ones who sort of stick out, you know, because it's a good company, but they are always feeling like they got a lot of ground to make up,
Sure.
that they're late to the party. And consequently, I appreciate the things that they've been doing, because like this one here, you buy this, Steve's right, people are going to stop you in the grocery store and go, what is that?
Yeah, exactly. Now let's just zoom in on the interior a little bit. The first thing I notice in here, again, just with a nod to utility, is a ton of storage. You're getting an upper glove box up here in front of the passenger. Below, you're getting this actually quite deep tray, and they've put this rubber mat, so if you throw stuff there, it'll actually hold on to it. And then down below, they've cleaned out this center console, so you get all this storage down here. There really is just loads of storage everywhere you look. I already showed you this center console, which is hinged in the front and the rear. That's something a little unique. So again, everything does feel like it has that eye towards utility. And I'll say I like I love the utility. I like the way the interior looks. I do have two gripes though, I think you'll agree with me. The first one, this touch sensitive button screen down here. I guess I kind of like that they've done a mix. It's not all touch sensitive buttons, but yeah, I truly do feel like they're distracting. These buttons up here, it takes 2 seconds to see it and grab it. These buttons down below, I just feel like you have to take your eyes off the road and kind of focus on what you're pressing. So I'm not a fan of the touch sensitive buttons. That is subjective, but you can let me know what you guys think in the comments. Now the next thing I'm not a fan of, Dad, is this shifter. And there's this new shifter design in the Hyundai. You roll it forward to go into drive, you roll it back for reverse. I guess they think that's intuitive. To me, drive has always been down on the shifter, reverse is generally up on the shifter. And this is not just Hyundai. A lot of brands are sort of guilty of this. We keep changing the shifters, I think just for the novelty of having a new exciting shifter in the car. Stop it. This is a safety concern. I feel like shifters should be PRNDL. They should physically move into spot and stay. They shouldn't have this return to home thing. I'm not a fan of any brand that messes too much with the shifter. What do you think?
It is one of the things that designers get sort of excited about and say, what can we do that's different? And the strange thing is that the signal indicator stock in every car, everywhere, works exactly the same way. If you pull it down, you're blinking to the left. If you push it up, you're blinking to the right.
Sure.
And that's the only way the stock works in every vehicle, because they haven't figured out some fancy schmancy way of making it do something different.
Well, actually, I'll cut in real quick. Ford, if you remember they did it where you would go to do your signal and then it would return to the home position. It wouldn't stick. And they instantly got rid of that because people freaked out. They went, why are you messing with the turn signals?
Exactly, myself included.
Yeah.
I remember, because it's like, I don't want it to go back to a home space.
Exactly.
I want it to stay down so I know what's going on. So to your point, you know what? It's just for whatever reason the shifter, whether it's in the console, whether it's on the tree, whether it's down here, whether it's a roll knob, they're constantly trying to change that because they just want to be different. It's got nothing to do with making it better.
Exactly.
And that in itself is what sometimes is wrong with automotive design, is that design changes not to make it better, just so that it's different.
Yep, and in a lot of places in a car, I'm good with it. When it comes to a shifter, don't touch it. Well, folks, we are coming to the end of this one. Now, if you go for this XRT trim here in Canada, you're going to be spending about $50,000, and this is just one trim above base. So you can still spend a lot more and get way more interior features. But again, if you are looking for the one model that's really going to help you on those adventures, the XRT is the one to get, just thanks to the slightly better ground clearance and those tires. Plus, the all-wheel drive system on those rollers was pretty impressive. Now, overall, I think Hyundai is making a statement with this new Santa Fe, and anyone who buys it, well, they're going to embrace that statement, and essentially it's just saying, I like to live a more outdoorsy, adventurous lifestyle, and I bought a vehicle for that. Maybe that's for you, maybe it's not. Either way, it's definitely going to stand out in a crowd, and I can't wait to see how the sales do after a year on the market. So folks, that's it for this one. Now please go below, let me know what you think of everything you've seen in this video, plus what you think of this Hyundai Santa Fe. As always, while you're down below, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member, and then come right back here to Truck King to see what we're testing next. See ya.